Good, happy Wednesday morning, everyone, and happy September 1st, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. It's time to rise and shine and grab that good cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy this morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King, where we have a little bit of everything for you in this program. But first, we're going to start with your news. And first up, over 6,000 National Guard deployed across Louisiana, Mississippi. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
And now the storms moving up the East Coast right into the Northeast next. Tonight, the deadly highway collapse from these new storms after already wreaking havoc along the Gulf Coast. More than 1 million customers without power in this stifling heat and with homes destroyed. Our team flying over Grand Isle, Louisiana with the Coast Guard. Communities still underwater and cut off. Destruction everywhere, twisted debris, semi-trucks overturned, homes and buildings damaged or destroyed. And with these new storms, I mentioned that collapse, 2 people were killed when that Mississippi highway came down, undermined by floodwaters. Ginger Z with the track of these dangerous new storms in a moment. But first, our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, flying with the Coast Guard and what he saw.
Tonight, those hardest hit communities from the air. The U.S. Coast Guard taking us up and over Louisiana towns that may exist on the map, but now made barely recognizable by Hurricane Ida.
This is Port Fourchon. This is where that 172-mile wind gust was recorded. You can see what it did to that boat dock, obliterating it.
We flew to Grand Isle, desolate, largely destroyed, and cut off from the world. But our pilot, Matt Kuiper, spotting something below.
So we have that white pickup truck there at the intersection stuck in the mud with some wires.
We touched down.
This is the island where a bunch of those people were riding it out. The Coast Guard flew overhead and they gave them that thumbs up.
On the ground and in that pickup truck was Chris Toubre, who showed me videos of what it was like to ride out the storm.
So you're sitting there and you're watching literally the house crumble in front of you and around you.
Yes.
Now he was stuck in the sand, his truck his only air conditioning. Over 6,000 National Guard fanning out across Louisiana and Mississippi, along with local first responders and the volunteer Cajun Navy, plucking hundreds from the water.
I paddled the boat as far as I could, and I've been walking about 30 minutes.
Those transmission lines and towers were reinforced after Katrina. Now they're lying crumpled. Officials now say it could be a month before all power is restored. The August heat making it feel over 100 degrees today in New Orleans.
There is no power here and families have become desperate. They're trying to fill up their vehicles, but also jerry cans for their generators. Now, there are so few gas stations open here that this line is over an hour long. It stretches beyond the interstate. It's even backing up traffic on the off-ramp.
Jeremy Zarang has a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old baby at home. He's been looking for an open gas station for 2 days now.
Man, it's crazy, man. They got people cutting line, all that.
Yeah. I mean, I hear it's pretty desperate in some places. People are getting very aggravated about getting gas.
Yeah. You can't find it. It's gold. It's gold right now.
And tonight, the death toll continues to rise. In George County, Mississippi, 7 cars plunging through that chasm that used to be Highway 26. 2 people were killed, 3 more in critical condition.
And back to Louisiana tonight, Matt. I know you just landed after that flight with the Coast Guard. Those towns cut off. 1 million people still without power tonight. I know fears now growing about food, getting them help, getting them clean water.
The basics of life, David, have become nightmarish here. And I'll give you an example. There are virtually no hotel rooms within 3 hours of New Orleans. And even if people had a place to go, many wouldn't be able to get there. They are so short on fuel, so few gas stations open. And so hundreds of thousands of people are going to have to stick it out in this dangerous heat, young and old. But there is a sliver of good news. Just moments ago, the mayor of New Orleans saying that some power transmission will resume to the city starting tomorrow. David.
That is encouraging. All right, back up, and our thanks to you again tonight.
Hi, everyone. Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Taliban celebrates U.S. military withdrawal. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Taliban moving in quickly at the Kabul airport. The president spoke of the human cost today, the number of American service members lost over the 20-year war. He also mentioned the financial cost, the cost often estimated at $1 trillion. The president saying at that number, that's $150 million a day spent on the war in Afghanistan for 20 years. Tonight here, the images of the Taliban now at that airport. Here's our senior foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell.
Overnight, the Taliban celebrating America's withdrawal, calling it Independence Day. Gunfire lighting up the night sky. The militants wasting no time, releasing videos showing them storming Kabul airport shortly after US forces left. Today, posting a video showing what they say is their troops flying over Mazar-e-Sharif in the north in an Afghan military helicopter. In military fatigues, the militants seizing control of Kabul airport within hours of the last American plane departing. Taliban leaders walking the tarmac, claiming victory over American forces in the shadow of a C-130 plane left behind, inspecting the spoils of war. Entering one hangar housing military helicopters. More than 70 American military aircraft abandoned at the airport. The Pentagon saying all disabled so they can't be used.
Those aircraft will never fly again. When we left, they'll never be able to be operated by anyone.
So much equipment's been abandoned. As many as 70 MRAPs, mine-resistant ambush vehicles costing $1 million apiece still at the airport. Across Afghanistan, an even larger trove of weapons and equipment falling into Taliban hands. Scores more aircraft, 76,000 vehicles, including 22,000 Humvees, and almost 1 million infantry weapons. The US saying some machinery left intact so the airport can function, getting it up and running again, critical to getting Americans left behind out. And desperately needed humanitarian relief in.
And so let's bring in Ian Pannell reporting from Doha, Qatar again tonight. And Ian, all along, one of the central missions of this war was to make sure Afghanistan would never again be a safe haven for terrorists like it was leading up to September 11th. Look at the suicide bomb attack killing U.S. service members last week. We have reported here on the thousands of ISIS prisoners released in that country. Obviously difficult to answer, difficult to predict. But what does Afghanistan look like? What is the threat moving forward?
I think there are significant risks. Al-Qaeda is diminished but not defeated. ISIS is in the country and hundreds of their fighters just released from prison. The president is insistent that the US will continue to carry out anti-terrorism missions from over the horizon, but not being on the ground, of course, diminishes your ability to see the threat and to deal with it. And I think that will be a growing question. Can the Taliban deal with it? And if not, can we? David?
That's the question. Ian Pannell with us from Doha.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Louisiana neighbors community comes together to help. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Crack open a Budweiser and make the most of summer's last barbecues and
America strong, Louisiana strong. Tonight, across Louisiana, the need is great, but so is the generosity. In LaPlace, Louisiana, volunteers Desiree Nye and Hunter Loque helping Darren Heiser evacuate from his flooded home with his dog Sunny. Help is now coming in from all over the country. In neighboring Texas, Gallery Furniture and their sign, Louisiana residents sleep here free. They're collecting donations they will drive themselves to Louisiana, already raising $24,000 for residents so far. And in Hammond, Louisiana tonight,
Hi, David.
The nonprofit Operation Barbecue Relief, making 50,000 meals a day for those in need.
Many without water, without power, just trying to get by right now. And a little bit of comfort food goes a long way.
Tonight, Americans looking out for one another. The need is great, and so is the kindness.
Hi, everyone. George Stephan.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are going to switch gears now and let's go into weather. Let's take a look at the weather across the United States for this Wednesday. As you can see, this green here, right along all this green here, that is rain/thunderstorms. In the red here, you got some heavy rain/flash flooding possible here and here. And then in the yellow here, you have severe thunderstorms possible. And then over here in the gray and here is all dry. And that is a look at the weather for this Wednesday. Happy Wednesday and happy hump day, everyone. And let's switch gears now. And Candyman outperforms expectation at the box office. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News. Good morning, America.
Signs of life at the box office. The horror film Candyman debuted at #1 over the weekend, beating expectations, making a little history as well. Chris Conley's here with the story. Good morning, Chris.
And good morning, George. Yeah, now when is a horror movie hitting #1 at the box office a big deal? When it's a really big deal. Something unprecedented. Something that offers hope for the future in more ways than one.
What's Candyman?
This zeitgeisty horror reboot is more than a hit in movie theaters. It's history in the making.
Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Candyman.
Candyman first terrified audiences back in 1992 with Tony Todd and Virginia Madsen starring. This Candyman, from Get Out producer Jordan Peele,
Candyman, Candyman.
outperforming expectations by pulling in $22 million at movie theaters last weekend, making its director co-writer, 31-year-old Nia DaCosta, the first black woman director ever to have a #1 film at the weekend box office.
This is proof of what she and other black women directors have been, saying in Hollywood for years, which is that we can do the job. We just need the opportunity.
Now directing star Brie Larson in the Captain Marvel sequel, The Marvels, DaCosta displaces Black Panther's Ryan Coogler as the youngest ever to helm an MCU film.
A crowd started to form to watch the show.
Candyman's strong opening is lifting Hollywood's hopes, yes, again, that fans are eager once more to experience movies in theaters.
A key difference between Candyman and a lot of other pandemic-era releases is that Candyman was available only in theaters. It boosted the overall number of tickets that were sold.
Even as features like Clifford the Big Red Dog have edged away from debuting in the current climate of COVID uncertainty, other films have stuck with their theater-based openings, and it's paid off.
It's the first time I've ever driven a car before.
Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy hitting $10 million more than experts predicted for its opening weekend.
Paw Patrol, ready for action!
Paw Patrol the movie gobbled up just $13 million in box office kibble in its first weekend.
A dog? Actually, sir, I'm a puppy.
Big budget fare will soon await filmgoers in movie houses nationwide. Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, coming this Friday.
And the mass transit mayhem of that Battle of a City bus, suggesting that thrills of all kinds could be what lures the reluctant to buy tickets to movie theaters once again, guys.
Okay, Chris, so we know thrillers are doing pretty well. What about family films?
Maybe a little viewer hesitancy, at least that's the concern of studios. That's why we're not seeing maybe the kind of box office numbers for those movies that we're seeing for these thrill rides. So that's something to watch as the fall kicks in.
Okay, Chris Connolly, thanks very much.
You got a mirror back there. It's Candyman 6 times.
That's a great
Come in.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
Okay, and there you go on that video. Very cool indeed. Check out Candyman, everyone. And take a look at this. CBS Mornings has a new promo. Let's take a look.
Something new is happening at CBS. We've built you a better morning. Go somewhere new. See something new. Meet someone new. And learn something new.
This is our new home in the heart of New York City.
Nate Burleson in the house! Nate Burleson joins Gayle King and Tony DeCopel. Introducing CBS Mornings, beginning September 7th on CBS.
Okay, there you go. Very cool. And let's switch gears now and let's go into some entertainment news. And in entertainment news, The View co-hosts reunite for the first time in nearly 2 years. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
As someone who resembles someone else, I appreciate that Liberty Mutual knows everyone's unique.
The ladies of The View are together again. Co-hosts Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Sarah Haynes all reunited at the show's New York City studio for the first time since March 2020.
Oh my God!
The reunion comes at a perfect time. The View will be kicking off its historic 25th season on September 7th. The show begins its silver anniversary celebration with a return to the studio and the return of the show's live audience and iconic Hot Topics table.
I can't believe it's 25 years. I'm still trying to finish the sentence I started in 1997. These are the jokes, okay?
Political commentator Anna Navarro will continue in her role as guest co-host and is set to make regular appearances throughout the season. Season 25 will be the first in a while without Meghan McCain. The conservative commentator exited the show in August.
You know, this has been a really wild ride the past 4 years of my life. It's been honestly the best of times and the worst of times in all ways on and off this show.
To fill Meghan's spot, the show plans to welcome other conservative voices to guest co-host throughout the season, starting with former Utah Congresswoman Mia Love. Additional guest co-hosts appearing in the coming months include Condoleezza Rice, Carly Fiorina, Gretchen Carlson, as well as more familiar faces, like the Real Housewives of New York's Ebony K. Williams and former Southern Charm star Cameron Eubanks. And get this, in honor of the landmark season, the show will welcome back former co-hosts, too. They'll revisit The View on Flashback Fridays to help celebrate the show's incredible milestone. That celebration continues online with a special podcast series called Behind the Table.
We thought we could celebrate it by bringing back the people who know it best.
Hello! I miss you guys! How are you?
For a special podcast series from The View.
I'm so glad I did my hair.
You'll hear co-hosts talking about what it was like to sit around the View table.
The podcast will feature women who have had a seat at the table as they share never-before-heard stories and reveal first-hand details behind the headline-making moments that cemented the talk show in pop culture history.
These seats have been filled by such amazing, powerful, strong, intelligent women. Remember the meetings we'd have in my dressing room? That should have been the show.
Even jump into stories I've never heard.
I got back to my room, and she fired me.
E.T. spoke with The View co-host Sarah Haynes back in 2020 when she returned to the show after leaving in 2018 to join Good Morning America. The panelist opened up about why it was important for her to return to the iconic round table.
Who wouldn't want to come back to that round table? It was an honor the first time. Again, I said it best, I think, when I said it's like catching a shooting star twice. I feel like this was such a gift for me to sit next to these people. When I got the opportunity to leave, it was amazing. But to leave The View, I had fallen in love with this place on so many levels. It wasn't just the people at the table.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Thank you for joining us for this Wednesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Have a great rest of your day and see you back here tomorrow for another edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Goodbye, everyone.